welcome in everybody. Baseball and Coffee. It is Friday, October 24th, 10:31, so I'm a minute late because I'm not very responsible. And tonight is game one of the World Series, which you guys obviously know. That's why you're here. And we have a special guest for today. Thank you for everybody joining us on both streams, MLB as well as mine. And our guest for today, you know him. He was a long time Tampa Bay Rays outfielder. Also played for both of these clubs last season, taking home the World Series ring with the Dodgers. Mr. Kevin Kiermaier, how are you, sir?
What's up, Adam? Thanks for having me on. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Is it surreal to have both of the teams in the dance that you just were in the clubhouse with?
It is just because so many combos this year. Like everyone's, Dodgers are always going to be in it. But I knew it's like this Blue Jays play their potential. I know they can advance in the playoffs and make a run there too. And obviously they have. But I remember saying like perfect World Series would be Dodgers versus Blue Jays because when I got traded over there last year in 2024, you know maybe the most like impactful 3 months of my whole career, which was incredible, crazy. I was a part of that and World Series champ because of them guys over there and how they handled their business. And then also for me, like my year and a half in Toronto was amazing and they treated me like a king there and I wanted to win with that group so bad. So for these two to be squaring off at the end is really cool for me because I have so much history and like brotherhood with guys from both teams. So I told someone yesterday I feel like a parent in this. I want to see a great series. It's one of those things like I'm rooting for the Blue Jays. I want to see them do it. Dodgers have had their they deserve. I mean, they deserve to be here. But I think it's good to see different teams there. And Blue Jays haven't been there in 30 some years. So I'm thrilled for them, and it should be an awesome World Series.
I think you're with the majority. I think obviously, the Dodgers have tons of fans. They're worldwide. They own an entire country of fandom now in Japan. But I think
Yeah.
a lot of people are excited for the Blue Jays part of this. It's been a long time coming. The fans have been electric. Rogers Center's been unbelievable. It looks like from a distance. I'll be there tonight, so I'm curious to test it out myself. But they look incredible. The way they've battled, some of the crazy games they've been a part of, and I know a lot of people are looking at this like a little bit of a mismatch initially. But I think that the Jays' offense, the way that they've been swinging the bats, I feel like that contact approach could maybe disrupt a little bit of this Dodger pitching. What's your read on that?
Yeah, that's a great point. And just like most teams, it's like when you play with confidence, it just brings the best out of everyone. And you step up into the batter's box, you don't care who's pitching, and it's just a different feel when you have that as like a collectively as a unit, and that's what they've done throughout the course of the season, but especially in the playoffs. Like having their being down 2-0 to Seattle and having to go there and at least win two. Like you couldn't expect to win three out there, but for them to do what they had to do just to give them a chance to get back to Toronto. So what I'm saying is they've had adversity, they've had their backs against the wall, and they like you never count them out until that final out is made, and that's what the best teams do every year. It's just they always have the ability to come back and try to hold the lead when you can, but easier said than done because there are like Blue Jays can beat you with speed, power. I mean, guys hitting when runners are on. But going up against like Snell, Yamamoto, Tani, Glasnow, it's not going to be an easy task at all. But um, as long as they like do the little things right and just kind of go base to base, they're guys that you don't want to. They're guys that sorry, my wife's vacuuming.
Okay.
There's you just kind of want to attack them the best way you can, and but I feel like small ball and little things like that, you don't want to go up there trying to hit solo homers off these power pitchers, and you get traffic on bases, and that's where I feel like they're going to do most of their damage. But may the best team win.
Yeah, speaking of people you have a little familiarity with, the starting pitcher tonight for the Blue Jays, I mean for the Dodgers, is none other than this guy right here, Mr. Blake Snell, former teammate of yours, longtime teammate of yours with the Rays. To me, from my eye, and we're going to watch a little bit of this outing that he had on August 9th versus the Blue Jays to get a kind of an idea of maybe what we're looking at coming into tonight. To me, it looks like he's a different pitcher than he was before. Not that he's not always been great, but I feel like he's really gone to a whole nother place. You've obviously watched his whole career. What's your read on that? How do you feel like he's evolved over time?
Yeah, he's nasty, man. He like early in his career, it was fun to watch him evolve because I remember he was like doing stuff with Chris Archer and trying to get his legs more stronger and in shape because he would go out pumping 96, 97, 99 in the first three innings. And like the fourth, fifth innings, his velo would drop. And you could tell like he was using way more arm back in the day and are just overcompensating. And then guys were trying to tell him like, hey man, if you run and like do these things, like, dude, you could be so much nastier. Then he started going deeper into games and doing what he did. So even now, to all the success he's had, two Cy Youngs and what he's done this playoffs, it's incredible because it's like when he's locked in, he's as nasty as anyone, and every pitch he has is a plus plus pitch. And you know, when you just watch from TV, like he always has guys off balance and does such a good job. Like to lefties throwing that slider off the plate when it looks like a 97-mile-per-hour heater, it's so hard to lay off of. But so he used to be like more of a thrower, and now he definitely has evolved into a pitcher and then some. But man, he's been nasty for a long time, and I mean, it looks like he has not slowed down a bit.
Yeah, for me, it's sort of like guys come in the league, they're filthy, they're hard to hit. Guys chase their pitches, and then eventually they learn, okay, this guy wants to get me out outside of the strike zone. They find a way to kind of punch back to that approach, and then a pitcher has to find out about how to maybe freeze some guys, bring some other pitches in, use teams' approaches against them. I feel like when he implemented the changeup on a higher level a couple of years back with San Diego and San Francisco, I feel like that kind of laid the groundwork for where he is today. But going back to this start versus the Jays in August, he went 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, had 10 strikeouts in this game. It's interesting to if I go look at his breakdown, they threw all righties at him, which I assume I assume the Blue Jays are going to try to do more of the same with the lineup
Mhm.
tonight. But he only threw 9 pitches versus a lefty in that game back then, and mixed it up. Except didn't use the slider at all. It was all fastballs, changeups, and curveballs. I'm curious to see kind of what the approach will be against him. Is it one of those situations where, as a club, you think to yourself, we got to go ahead and be aggressive because he wants to be in the strike zone and not let him get to 2 strikes where he's unhittable? Or is it a situation where maybe we try to sit back, get the pitch count up, hope he gets himself into some bad counts? Those are two ways to go about it. Uh, they're both risky. They're equally risky, in my opinion. So I'm very fascinated to see what would you do if you were giving them a little bit of advice on the other side tonight with the
Yeah,
Jays.
it is. It's like it's so cat and mouse because I feel like he does such a good job of blending like attacking guys where, two strikes he's in the zone at times, and then other times he is throwing them off speed pitches just off the plate to get guys to chase. So anytime guys are meticulous like that with the high velo and just nasty off speed and breaking stuff, you kind of got to pick your poison. But I guarantee that, obviously not being a part of these hitters meetings, but you're going to try to pick a side of the plate and then hunt for, whether you're going for heater or whatever, righties or lefty, it might differentiate. But you just don't want him to sit here and be able to do whatever he wants with that slider, that changeup. It's like, if you control the strike zone, you got a way better chance. But if he's sitting here just throwing and we're like chasing, then he's doing exactly what we want. He's just too nasty to be doing things like that. So they're going to have to really key in on the strike zone, make him attack you. But guys who are nasty like this, for me, I didn't like getting 0-1, 0-2 against these guys because then I feel like they could just do whatever they want. I like to be more aggressive off nastier pitchers, like guys who want to get that fastball over early. Those are the guys who I would be like, okay, we got to end this at bat early because we do not want to get deep in the count. That's just me, but I feel like once again with these guys, you want to get off to a good start in the World Series, and you want to put the ball in play and hit the ball hard and do what you have to do to get on base. But you do not want to get where he's controlling the count, getting 0-1, 0-2, because then that's exactly his game plan. So they're going to have a blend of maybe seeing some pitches in certain times and other times picking, choosing your spots, maybe to ambush and hope that you get that, get me over curveball or heater. But once again, way easier said than done.
Hey, chat, can you guys help me out? I see that people are saying Ty France is an interesting addition. Did he get added to the roster today, guys? I'm curious to see that because he does pop up in this game earlier. Actually, this is a double he hits off of Blake on a curveball. It's interesting. I fought this battle a lot as a pitcher myself. Like, I had years where I struck guys out, and two guys would try to be very aggressive on me. And it's
Yep.
one of those things where the way to combat it is to hit with your secondary pitches. Right.
Yep.
Don't let them the pitch that they're not expecting. Right. Like if it's they're sitting on slider or whatever, then you try to switch it up. Throw something they're not looking for. Maybe a little wrinkle in their cutter, change up something like that. So for me, if I'm facing a guy like Snell, you got to pay attention to how he's landing those breaking balls and those changeups in the zone early. If everything's out of the zone, then maybe I say, you know what, I'm sitting dead red fastball early in the count. Everything else, I'm trying to let it go as best I can. But obviously, it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, and that's the thing where you definitely. It's crazy because I was just in that, like, me being a very league average hitter my whole, like, I feel like my approach was like that was the only thing that was going to help or have me have the best chance of being successful, like a lot of guys. But you go up there and be like, okay, I'm going to get an heater. I got to be ready for it. And then you're so in swing mode, and then you get like a slider that's really not even that competitive, but you were so worried about being on time for the heater, not getting beat by that, where it opens up everything else. So then those at bats where I do that, and then I get 0-1, and I'm like, immediately after, I'm like, I knew I should have took that. I'd be 1-0 right now. But
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah,
But yeah, you just gotta let the flow of the game kind of dictate that. But he should, we're all creatures of habit, and he'll have a good idea of what pitches are working for him, and um, what he wants to go to for his put away pitches and all that. But I feel like he does such a good job of landing off speed and more hitter favor friendly counts. 2-1, like a 2-1, get like curveball in there. His changeup is so nasty. He's always been able to kind of throw that when he wants. I remember the Cy Young year, 2018. Every time he got to a 2-0 count, it was a changeup, 100% of the time. And teams never. I don't know if scouting wasn't like as prevalent back then, but I'd be in center field and I'd be looking off to our right and left fielders. I'd be like, changeup, guaranteed, and it'd be every single time. So
how hard is it to sit on a changeup? Is it the hardest pitch to sit on? Would you say?
it all depends on the pitcher. Like if I'm facing Tommy Canley, I'm not even or split changeup, whatever you want to like. I'm looking for that the whole time. But yeah, because it's hard because you sit here and as hitters, we're always trying to be geared up for the fastball. Like anytime we get away from that, that's when people get frustrated. We get frustrated. So if you sit here and try sitting on a changeup and get that good fastball to hit, then you're sitting here just being like, you know what? I got off my plan. I'm thinking about this other really good nasty secondary pitch, and but that's the beauty of baseball, why it drives you crazy so many ways, because you can execute everything the way you want, but you gotta go off of what that pitcher's doing, what they're thinking, and um, it's a mental battle just as much as a physical battle as well.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for the hitters, like, you're on the reactive side of things. You don't get to necessarily
Yeah.
dictate what pitches you're going to get to hit. I get to sit
Yeah.
here and, make a little plan. Okay, I'm facing KK. I'm going to start him this
Yeah.
way. You have to kind of deal with
Yeah.
what I give to you. So I get it. It's tough. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been fascinating to watch. The chat came through. They said that yes, Bo and France are in. Yariel Rodriguez and Loperfido are out, which makes sense. Loperfido wasn't playing really much anyway. They need to get Bo in there. The Ty France is an interesting addition. I can kind of dig it. If they weren't comfortable using Yariel Rodriguez, get another hitter in there. I don't like having one less pitcher versus the Dodgers in a long game in a long series, but Ty France is a good contact hitter. I'd be curious if he's in the lineup tonight. He actually had some hits in this game. Well, he had one hit, but he had a hit versus Blake Snell, which is more than most guys get. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if that plays out. Also, so you've played with Bo Bichette a little bit. I was wondering a little bit about a Bo Bichette dynamic as I watch this double that Ty France hits real quick, and then I'll switch back over. Wondering a little bit about a Bo Bichette dynamic that we've been talking about a little bit on this show. I've been a player who has been, not able to contribute in a postseason before, because of either injury or lack of effectiveness. And you've been there the whole year, and maybe you've been there for a few years. Like you're ingrained, you're a member of the team, like Bo is,
Yep.
right? Like he's one of the leaders
Yep.
of the team. So I could feel the pain in my heart for guys like Bo and even Jose Barrios to some extent as the Blue Jays play this, knockdown, drag him out fight, 7-game ALCS. They finally
Yeah.
break through. Vladdy's having his moment. And Bo, yeah, you're supportive. These are your guys, but you're dying to get out there. You're
Yeah.
dying to get out
Yeah.
there. And then you have this injury situation, right? It's 6 weeks old now. It's a serious injury. PCL is no
Yep.
joke. So there's that push pull of like, I want to contribute. I'm desperate to be out there. I feel like this is like where I need to be out there. And that's where it's really tricky to manage, right? You have to figure out really what he can give you and then try to get the maximum out of him. But I'm wondering within that Blue Jays clubhouse, will there be a morale boost having him back available?
I would think so. You want that dude in the lineup every night. And they, the other guys who filled in have played so well, and they're always moving certain guys around with matchups and all that. But like Ernie Clement, Davis Schneider, Andres Jimenez, him going to play short for the first time, and it had to be years. Guys like platinum gloves, second baseman, goes over the other side of the diamond and plays. But Bo, I mean, he was the hits leader before he got hurt and was doing everything he had to, and his year has been incredible. So I would fully expect them to open him back with open arms and say we cannot wait to watch you be at the top of the lineup again, because he is just, I don't care if he's missed 6 weeks, man. That dude is top three best pure hitter I've ever seen with what he can do, and he's been locked in this whole year, and he's still got that confidence in him. I know that, where when he hits the field tonight, I know he'll be ready, and I know he was just hoping that the Blue Jays could get to the World Series so he had a chance to play and win with these guys on the final stage, just because of the injury, like the time frame, like that was the only thing possible. So it'll be interesting to see, how he's moving and feeling out there. But I'm sure he's getting all the live ABs and tracking pitches in the bullpens, just trying to get that timing and everything. But if anyone can do it, it's Bo. The dude wakes up out of bed and hits. That's what he is meant to do. I have all the confidence in the world in him, and I can't wait to see what he does.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, looking at his stats here from this year, even with the injury, he had 628 plate appearances this year. This guy was posting. He was playing every single minute of every game while he was out there. And he hit 311. That'd be a nice guy to have in your lineup for sure. One thing I always hated facing this guy is, he has the two approaches. He's got that big, healthy cut
Yep.
early in the count. And then two
Yep.
strike, he just digs the front toe down in the dirt. And he's like,
Yep.
screw you, man. I'm not striking
Yep.
out. And
Yep.
we don't like that as pitchers. We like guys to
Yep.
just stay who they are the whole time, make no
Yep.
adjustments. But
Yep.
no, it's going to be interesting to see how they use them. I know it's tempting to try to DH him. Then you got to run Springer out there in the outfield. Obviously, he got hit in the kneecap recently.
Yep.
I kind of like him in a targeted pinch hit at bat. There are certain pitchers that I know won't be able to get it by him, right? So he'll be able to put it in play. And I love that. I love that bat to ball skill. That's what gives me the hope that he could be a guy that could roll out of bed, to your point, and maybe put the ball in play and stuff like that. It's going to be so fascinating, and I always think about these situations because there's so much emotion tied up in these games. Like, I mean, like I was saying, like you play the whole year, maybe many years, waiting to get into this spot.
Yep.
You're well aware that you're not guaranteed to be back here ever again,
Yep.
especially with this group. Bo's a free agent at the end of the year. So yeah, I couldn't help but think about the emotional side of the game, and I'm wondering, you spent so long with one organization, right? Like you were with the Rays for what was it,
Yep.
probably 10 years, maybe
Yeah.
more.
10 years. Yep.
Can you imagine going into World Series game and you're on the fritz and you're like trying to decide whether
Yeah.
to tell Cashy whether you feel good or not? It's
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. As players, I mean, you wanna be out there, and there were certainly so many times in my career where I, played through things that, like, just like many other guys did, but you never want to cross that line where it's like, look, I want to be out there, but what if I have to run down a ball in the gap and I know that I probably can't do it, even though I want to be out there? I don't want to risk it when people are saying, well, your 70% is better than so and so's 100. But when those baseball test you in so many ways, where with something like that happens, or if you can't get to a ground ball that anyone else could get to, then it's like, okay, we know you want to be out here and every, but we still need a certain level product on the field that has to be somewhere very competitive, so we're not lacking in a certain area. So, but yeah, that's the tough part, because like I said, it's like World Series. Like, how many more times are you going to be able to do this? I want to play 100%, but that's the part where the manager, like, you gotta really have some talks and just try to be honest and realistic as possible, because what we're trying to do is win this thing. We are trying to win 4 games,
Yep.
and we need the best people out there where it makes sense to be the best fundamentally sound we can be. So, but I didn't even think about Bo DHing until you said that. But George has played so well this whole season, being DH and being a lot more fresh. But small sample size, where I know George would go out there and play right field or left field every day if they tell him to, if that means Bo's in the lineup and he's feeling good enough to hit. So those are decisions that you got to make, and I know they'll put all the people out there where they feel like they're giving the team the best chance to win 100%.
It just something just popped in my mind. I was wondering about the effects of the turf on an outfielder. Like obviously you played on the turf for a long time. Are there any like tricks of the trade? You swap your shoes out between innings, stuff like that?
George, yeah, I tried for a little bit, but it was just too much. George has ever since I've been there, where he'll go play in turfs in the outfield, and then put his
So smart.
medals spikes back on when he's hitting. Um, it's a lot, but that's what he had to do to cope with it. But yeah, the turf for outfielders, it's no joke, and the low back and the hips and the everything on the lower extremities is going to feel it. But thankfully, you get kind of numb to it as the season goes on, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. But
Yeah.
the adrenaline that the World Series is going to provide, this will make turf the best it can possibly be, because those guys are going to be numb out there and just running off adrenaline and all the emotion that comes with it. So I guess I can't wait, man. I can't. It's going to be an awesome series, and both teams, like, they both pitch, hit, play great defense, and I think it's going to come down to like execution and maybe getting a bunt down or moving runners over, lead off double, getting that guy to third, less than 2 outs. I think it's going to come down to the little things like that, and usually the team who does it more prevails. So be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm fired up for it. I'll get you out of here in a minute. I just one more question, a little more insight. John Schneider. This is the first time I've really paid attention to him. Not that I'm not paying attention to all
Yep.
the managers, but he's on the national stage now. All of a sudden, his moves are getting scrutinized. How he controls the room. You see him talking to the boys after in their celebrations and stuff like that. Can you give me a little insight on him? And maybe the type of vibe, type of guy he is, the way he runs the show over there.
Yeah, great guy. He's really evolved. Like, having him like the first time in 2023 as my manager. Like, there are definitely things that um, thought that he could improve on in certain ways, just like relationship with the players and certain things like that, and communication. But being like an early manager, there's so many things that go on that people don't realize, and just how these meetings with the front offices go, this and that. And then finally, like, whenever things start going better and you win a little bit more, then you get a little bit of leeway to kind of do and operate the way you really want to, in a way. And winning always makes everything better. So the times that I've been around this year, and even like last year, he improved from 2023, and the guys have raved about him this year, and said so many great things about him, and the energy and like the love he provides for the organization. He's been there for like 24 plus years maybe, so he's a lifer over there and has all the respect within the organization. But he's a player's man. Like, you can just talk to him, just keep it real with him. He's going to do the same thing with you, and those are who the guys you want to be around, where you don't feel like you're walking on eggshells around him or anything like that. He wants you to be who you are and go out there and play the way you're capable of. And if you play the right way, then he's never going to say anything to you. But he's done a phenomenal job this year, and it hasn't been easy with just how everything throughout the whole season, the ups and downs. But everyone over there has handled it great. DeMarlo Hale being over there the last couple of years has helped a ton. So they got a great staff over there. I love them guys, and they're a close knit group. And I'm so happy for them. They deserve to be here.
Yeah, it seems also like especially the veteran starting pitchers have had a big impact on this clubhouse and on really on also helping bring a young guy along, like Savage. Oh, there we go. All
Sorry
right, I'm
about
back.
that.
No,
Sorry
you're
about
good.
that.
You're good. Especially like a guy like Savage. Savage starting game one of the World Series tonight. I have a little nugget here on that. Let me just try to find it real quick. I have a little nugget on Savage's age relative to other players in the history of baseball starting game one. It's actually pretty crazy when I was looking at it before.
Short list, right?
Yeah, I think he's the second youngest
Wow.
ever. Yeah, there's one guy from before. I don't know why I can't find this right now. It's so crazy, but yeah, second youngest ever. So I feel like you have to have some guys whispering in your ear, like, keep it simple, you got this. Like, don't think about other things. Like, trying to keep
Yep.
their mind right.
Mm,
As you age within a clubhouse, that becomes your role at some point, right? On every team,
yep.
you're kind of the whisperer. You're the guy that when guys are going through it, you got to go around, just make sure their heads are right. Um, did you get a sense at all, being around the Jays at all this year, that veteran staff, is that type of group?
Yeah, dude, they're awesome. Like George is the position player vet of the team, and so many guys with like 4, 5, 6 years, and kind of in that middle tier. Uh, but they got and then they got on the pitching end, they got Scherzer, Bassett, Gosman, Barrios. So many guys who've been established for a long time and had so much success, and guys who I have more respect than any other teammates I've had, just because seeing when you get around them guys who've been there, done that, like it doesn't matter if they go out there and go 7 innings and shove, or if they have a bad outing where it's 3 or 4 innings and get rocked a little bit. Like you can tell they're going to be a man about it after the game and wear it on the chin. And those are the guys you're like, man, I can't wait to watch you get on that mound in 5 days from now. I know you're going to dominate. But that's what I think of when like Bassett, Gosman, two of my favorite teammates I've ever had. But how they set the precedent and the young guys watch them, and the element that Scherzer's brought over there. Guys are saying he's crazy, psycho, this and that, but he brings a great element, and what he's done obviously is speaks for itself with his Hall of Fame resume and all that. But you get a good blend of great veterans in the middle, in between, and then the young guys. Like everyone complements each other well, and those are the most fun teams to be a part of, because then you see like the old guys doing like 21-year-old things, and then the young guys like starting to blend with the older guys. So it's fun, but those things matter, man. They matter. And especially now where it's like, look, the love and everything throughout the whole season, it's there. And it's just like, hey, let's win with this group. If we're here, we might as well win this thing. Let's do whatever it takes. Let's leave it all in the field and take advantage of a great opportunity.
Yeah, this is the stat right here. He's 22 years, 88 days old. That's the second youngest ever. Ralph Bronco was 21, 267 days old, way back in 1947 when he did it. So pretty impressive company. But I feel like it's the right play. Like, I wouldn't be afraid to give this guy the ball at all right now with the way he's looked. And I'm glad you mentioned Bassett. I played with Bassett
Yep.
as well in New York, and people are gonna, of course, credit Max always for like competitive stuff, and Max is super competitive, but Bass is the same way. So I feel
Yep.
like his attitude is kind of all over this team, and I was super fired up to watch him pitch the eighth inning the other night in Game 7. I think now he's suddenly a factor in the bullpen a little
Yep.
bit as Schneider finds a way to get through this Dodger lineup. So there's so much things that are happening right now. New stuff coming into play, old stuff showing up. The Dodgers going to just try to roll their starters out there, and hopefully that works for them. That's their plan. And the Blue Jays are going to try to make this as mucky as possible.
Yep.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah. But no, I mean, I guess this has been it. I really appreciate you hanging with me today. This has been great. Really good insight on a lot of these guys that I don't know about, and I really thank you for your
Yeah.
time. Big time.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, great. Thank you so much. That was Kevin Kiermaier. He has played for both of these teams very recently, so he gave us some very good insight there. Let me try to find out how I can end this call. There we go. Pretty sure you're off. And then yeah, so we are back now. Just me now. So we'll go through some of the stats. We'll do the usual breakdowns, but that was great. KK, one of the best defenders probably ever in the outfield. If I have his numbers here, they're actually insane. I didn't want to, embarrass the guy at all, but 36.3 career WAR. When you have a 95 OPS plus, that can only mean one thing, which means you're insanely good in the outfield. Insanely good in the outfield. I mean, never had a negative WAR in his career, despite having a 706 OPS. So that lets you know he's probably one of the best defenders who's ever lived. All the numbers backed it up. Even as recently as last year, I had him pulled up here. This is a sidebar, because just to give some flowers to our guest today, who was fantastic. Even as recently as last year, his last season playing in the big leagues, 96th percentile in range outs above average in the outfield. So, uh, man, you would like to have that out there behind you anytime you're pitching. You know, he was truly incredible. Him, Kevin Pillar, those two guys, to me, they're always kind of connected. AL East, Blue Jays, Rays, diving all over the place. To me, they're kind of similar players, but Kiermaier was the first who got extended first, kind of put up the big year first before Pillar. But they both made a whole career out of being unbelievable in the outfield. So that was that. All right. So anyway, back to this game. Let's go look at this packet a little more in depth because there's a lot of good stuff in here. Stuff that I'm not going to uncover on my own. You know, we can go back and watch more of that Snell outing, and then we can try to think about a little bit of how Savage is going to do it. But there's no video of Savage facing the Dodgers because it's never happened before. So to me, that's possibly a advantage for the Jays in this one, as long as, you know, the young guy throws some strikes, which I guess is the biggest factor here. Like, how are we doing in the chat? Looks like we're doing great. We got a nice turnout on both channels. I'm very excited. Now, this is a good question right here. I would love to. Is it truly that hard to train defensive metrics, or is it not emphasized? Guys like Chandler Simpson have the potential of an execution. Yeah, it was crazy when I looked at Chandler Simpson's. You know, he's 100th percentile speed, but like 1 percentile outs above average. So clearly, there's a problem with reading the balls off the bat, your jump, your technique. Having a guy like KK would probably teach you all that stuff because he was fundamentally fantastic. And fundamentals always win out. Go think about some of the best center fielders in the game. Yes, they're spectacular, but they also have great fundamentals. You know, even guys like PCA or Rafaela, but especially if you watch a guy like Harrison Bader, it's all fundamentals. So KK, Pillar, Bader, you know, these are guys that, you know, they're the best center fielders that have come around in a while. Brenton Doyle, and they're exciting, but they also have great fundamentals as well. All right, let's get into this. On this date in 92, the Blue Jays outlasted the Braves in an 11-inning thriller to win Game 6 of the Fall Classic and claim their first World Series title in franchise history. Dave Winfield hit a 2-run double off Charlie Leibrandt in the top of the 11th, and Atlanta then stranded pinch runner John Smoltz at third base as the tying run in the bottom half of the inning to win it. 5 years ago, Brett Phillips laced the walk-off 2-run single off Kenley Jansen to beat the Dodgers in a thrilling Game 4 of the 2020 World Series. That was when he did the airplane. And obviously KK, who we just talked to, was involved with that. Ooh, I still have his name tag up. Let's get rid of that. There we go. All right. Stats to know. They're back. The Dodgers are the first reigning champ to return to the series since the 09 Phillies. It's been 25 years since we last had a repeat champion. 98 to 2000 Yankees, obviously. Taking my headphones off because I don't need to hear anything anymore. We've talked about the repeat champions. We've talked about the rest versus rust. History has definitely favored the team who played the 7 games instead of the sweeping team. So we'll take that for a grain of salt, but that definitely gives the Blue Jays some, you know, historical backing to their level of hope in this series. We know how good the LA pitching has been. Game 1 road blues. Here we go. The Dodgers have played Game 1 of the World Series on the road 12 times in franchise history, and they've only won one of them. 1963 at Yankee Stadium. So again, this is the type of stat that's interesting, but means nothing. So we'll keep it moving. We know Kike tonight will tie Justin Turner for the franchise record for playoff games as a Dodger. We talked about that and the romantic aspects of that for both of those guys. I think that's awesome. We talked a little bit about Darren Dalton and his connection to Dalton Varsho, given that he played with his old man. We keep getting this question about Bichette. I'm not playing Bichette in the field tonight, and I'm not playing him at second either. I'm playing him at DH, or I'm pinch hitting him. If he's good enough to go, I still think DH. I'd rather have Springer and his painful knee in right field than Bo and his possibly structurally questionable knee at second. That's just my opinion. But I'm not in the clubhouse, and this is why it's so important to be in the clubhouse. And if I'm managing this Blue Jays team, I am doing my absolute best to understand exactly how Bo Bichette feels and exactly what the doctors are telling me and the trainers are telling me. And I need to know with great levels of confidence that if I put him in this game in the field, then not only is he going to perform well for my team and give my team a chance to win, but also he's not risking himself to get hurt, because you also have to love your players and care about their career and sometimes save them from themselves. So if he's like in a position where he could go out there and blow his knee out playing second, that's insane. He should never do that. So for me, I think DH makes a lot of sense. if you're not sure how the defense will look. And then Springer, yeah, I mean, he'll be drugged up, he'll be ready to go, he'll be flying around. Kiermaier seemed to endorse Springer in the outfield, so maybe that's the play. But I think I'm pinch hitting him. That's my personal opinion, and again, that's without having all of the. I think, and that's not having all the information. If I have all the information, we'll see. All right. Put a ring on it. Buddy Kennedy and Jose Urena played for both the Jays and the Dodgers, so they win no matter what. We've seen this a little bit in the past. The NHL moved up the start of the Maple Leafs road game on Friday in Buffalo from 7:30 to 7. They also moved their home game on Saturday up to 5. The Raptors also moved their home opener versus the Bucks up from 7:30 to 6:30. And the Raptors and Leafs are inviting fans to stay afterwards to watch the World Series on the scoreboard. So the Jays are all in. Obviously, Toronto as a city, we've seen them support the Raptors, obviously the Maple Leafs, and the Blue Jays heavy when they're big. So no different here tonight. I'm curious. I'm going to the game tonight in Toronto. I'm flying up after this show. I'm curious to see what the scene's like. Big time. Ooh, Dodgers roster is out. Vesia is out. Obviously, we have a lot of thoughts headed that direction. I'm not going to speculate, but wishing him nothing but the best. Family always comes first, and Edgardo is in. Edgardo's kind of nasty velocity wise, but Vesia is arguably one of their 4 pitchers they trust right now in the bullpen. So that's a big deal. On the field at least, it's a big deal for the Dodgers to have without him. I don't know if he's eligible to come back in or how that works necessarily, but we'll see. Toronto is a frenzy. Good luck downtown. Yeah, I'm thinking of getting one of those e-bikes or e-scooters and just cruising around a little bit before I have to enter the ballpark and just enjoying myself. I really love being there. Everybody knows that, so that'd be good. Yeah, and I know the Vesia thing is serious, so I don't want to talk about it because I don't have a lot of information, but my thoughts are definitely with him. 100% him and his fam. All right. Leadoff pop. The 87 combined regular season home runs by presumed leadoff man Shohei Ohtani and George Springer would be the most combined leadoff home runs in Game 1 of a World Series. The current mark is held by Schwarber and Altuve. That's a tough 2 guys to outperform on leadoff dingers. Schwarber and Altuve are no slouches with leadoff the game dingers, but it does show you Ohtani and Springer, along with Acuna, they're probably the top guys in this category where you start the game and you're like, do I throw a fastball? I don't know. Ooh, here we go. When you fly in, take the Union Pearson Express train, airports and Union Station downtown in 15 minutes. All the hotels are down there in stadium. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to sit in traffic, so I'll probably take the train. I'll be wearing my baseball and coffee hat. Don't be afraid to come up and say hi to me if you see me. I'll be in a suite most of the game, but I'll be around. I'm going to be looking for people I know, in the media side and other, players and stuff. So I'll be around. You can say hi to me for sure. I will not Uber. Don't worry. I will not Uber. I sent some packages to Canada as well, some of the merch that people bought. And there's a postal strike going on. So I know there's a little bit of a worry, but I can't do a whole bunch about that. And now it made me think maybe I should have brought some stuff in a duffel and then mail it from Canada. But I don't know how that works. So maybe I'll do a little investigating of that after. Anyway, let's keep it moving. All right. Give them the heater. The average fastball velocity in the World Series has gone up more than 4 miles an hour since the start of pitch tracking. It was 91.1 in 2008, and it's now 95.5 in 2024. 95.5 average velocity is kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. 95.5 average velocity. So for every guy on your staff that throws a 91 mile an hour pitch, you have to bounce that out with a 100 mile an hour pitch. That's insane. The game will not be streaming on YouTube. The game will be on the broadcast partners, Sportsnet, obviously in Canada, and then definitely Fox or whoever's got the game. I think it's Fox got the game tonight in America, obviously, and then all over the world. So we were going to do a Baseball After Dark tonight, but we're going to do it for Game 2 and Game 3 instead because I'm going to the game. So can't do it all at the same time. So anyway, do any Jays starters throw 95 plus regularly except Gausman? I guess the Savage is pretty close, but other than that, no. Bieber and Max are now comfortably well below that. They're in the 93s. Oh, strike's over. Good to know. Packages on the way then. Good to know. Thank you. All right. We already talked about Savage's age. There's so much to look at, so let's just keep going. We've already looked at a lot of these, honestly. But World Series winner of Game 1 has gone on to win 63%. So this is a big game tonight. Seems like you have breathing room at this point, but the math starts to change really fast after this first one. So whoever wins this one's going to feel great on either side, honestly. This is a big game, and it's going to be a great matchup. This is the first World Series game in Toronto since Joe Carter's Game 6 walk-off in 93. We've talked a little bit about the contact-oriented offense versus the swing and miss staff. Honestly, I think we've gone through all of these notes already. There's other stuff, though, on the bottom that we'll keep going. All right, the connection between Ohtani and Vlad. They both just won the MVPs. We know that. And then, obviously, they both have huge, international followings behind them. Japan, obviously, all in favor of Ohtani. Ohtani's completely has that entire country in his pocket, it seems. And same with Vlad. I mean, he's probably top 3 most revered, famous Dominican active player right now. I mean, you got to think Soto, and then I don't know. Is it Jose Ramirez? Is it J-Rod? But either way, he's way up there. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody. Honestly, it might be Starling Marte with how much they love him. But anyway, Dominican, he's a legend Dominican, and he's also beloved in Canada. Born in Canada, his dad played for the Expos, all that. So both teams have huge followings, in these foreign countries. Here we go. Here's a little tidbit that's interesting. Guerrero will now try to do what his father was ultimately unable to do in his 8 seasons with the Expos, which was win a World Series. We all know that Vlad Sr. eventually left Montreal, went to the Angels. He went on to become the only Hall of Famer with an Angels logo on his cap. But interestingly, the Halos never even made an offer to his son when Vlad Jr. ultimately signed with Toronto in 2015. Dino Abel, now a coach with the Dodgers and then a coach with the Angels, used to hit fly balls to Guerrero Jr. before games. In Anaheim, Jr. became friends with Abel's 2 sons. The 3 kids still text all the time. Abel said, and Guerrero Jr. always goes out of his way to greet Abel and his sons when the Blue Jays come to Los Angeles. And actually, Dino Abel, who's now the third base coach for the Dodgers, and I know him because he was a third base coach on Team USA when I played in WBC last time around. One of his sons just got drafted, really high. So this is baseball families coming together. And, as big of a world it is when you're in a sub-world like baseball, it ends up being kind of a small world. And yeah, Vlad was obviously around a lot with his dad, so it's kind of crazy that they never took him serious. I know that the Blue Jays were very locked in on Vlad as an amateur to the point where I think they flew him in for a secret workout. Like a secret one-on-one workout where they were going to try to show him, the lay of the land, and then make him that crazy offer, which eventually they did to get him to sign. Because I don't know if you guys know, but the way it works in international signing is you get a pool of money. It used to not be this way. It used to be more of a free-for-all, but you get a pool of money and you have to allocate it. And so a lot of teams go with we're going to spend it all over the place and we're going to bring in quantity over necessarily quality. And then sometimes guys save all that money and throw it at one player. Vlad was kind of in that second boat. He got paid pretty well out of the draft, and the Blue Jays were all in on his potential, and they were proven right. So this started from the very beginning. Yeah, Vlad Jr. was just 14 years old when a Blue Jays scout named Ismael Cruz first saw him play. Then GM Alex Anthopoulos had gone out of his way to say the Jays couldn't have signed their biggest star without the tireless work of Cruz. But as fate would have it, Anthopoulos left the Jays just 3 months after signing Vlad, and Cruz followed shortly after to go to the Dodgers. So Ismael Cruz is now the vice president of international scouting for the Dodgers, and he arrived in Toronto with LA's contingent on Thursday. It's so crazy because this is a guy that you literally laid the groundwork for an organization to sign and ultimately become your guy, and then neither of these guys, Anthopoulos or Cruz, are with the team anymore. This is sort of similar to what's going on with the Red Sox right now. Chaim Bloom responsible for Roman Anthony in the draft, Marcelo Meyer in the draft, several of their prospects, and now they're all Craig Breslau's. So it's just interesting how that goes sometimes. The Jays took on Miles Straw's contract to get more international pool money, and Straw ended up putting up a 3-war season. Toronto traded Tim Locastro to LA to get more international money. Yeah, so this is how it works sometimes. You see it here. Dodgers spent all of their 2025 international pool money on Roki this year. So sometimes you throw it all at one player. But you better be right? You're betting on 16-year-olds. It's crazy. It's so hard to project a 16-year-old, but I often think for the player it's fantastic because if you turn out to be good, you actually have the time now where you can get to the big you can have 4 or 5 years of pro development and still get to the big leagues at 20, 21 years old, which ultimately sets you up for superstar status and superstar paydays. So getting in as early as possible and getting around the pro development and kind of facing the pro competition and getting used to that, huge benefit over kind of waiting and getting in there later unless you're going to be a fast mover. So we've seen guys who get drafted out of college at 21 and they're up in the big leagues the next year. That's one way to do it. But the other way to do it is to get signed at 16 out of DR and then be up there when you're 20, like Vlad did, and like Teoscar and guys like this. So it's just very fascinating the way that different winding paths that you can take to being a star player and kind of getting there at a young age. 2.5 years after signing Vlad out of the DR, the Blue Jays watched as the Angels won the initial Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. Ohtani made his MLB debut on opening day 2018, while Vlad debuted the next April in 2019. And then 2021 was the breakout for both of these guys. So they debuted similar times and they broke out at the same time. 2021 was a big moment for each player. Ohtani became the first player ever to start on the mound and bat leadoff in an All-Star game, and Vlad became the youngest player ever to win All-Star game MVP. So they've been on these parallel paths kind of doing their thing, and obviously they're to differing degrees. But, they end up in the same spot here going head-to-head, and that's kind of the way it goes sometimes. Ooh, this is a good comment here. When you have a homegrown athlete for life, that's got to be one of the coolest things in sports. Vladdy for 14 more years is an amazing feeling. It's true. I listen to a lot of Bill Simmons. He talks mostly basketball these days, but I think it's fascinating his concept of like that these guys are just in your life for a long time. I can relate to that as a kid growing up as a fan of like the Knicks in basketball, Patrick Ewing, some of these guys, Allen Houston, they were just like part of my life for a long time, and I liked having them around. I liked the consistency of that. Same with the Yankees teams I grew up watching. A lot of consistency, a lot of Derek Jeter years, a lot of Bernie Williams years, a lot of Jorge Posada years. So it's like you do like the fact that you have one guy for a long time, and and Vlad's that guy right now. 14 years. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. All right, let's keep going on this. At the end of the 21 season, Ohtani joined Vlad Sr. on the short list of Angels players to win MVP honors by beating out the runner-up, which was Vlad Jr. Now, I remember this because I was on the Red Sox in 21, and we faced Vlad Jr. quite a bit. And honestly, that was the year that I felt the Jays coming. It's been a while since then, and they maybe took a step back before a step forward. But the 21 Blue Jays were a freaking problem on offense. Semien was insane. Vlad was at the peak of his powers, like the young version. And then Teoscar was really good. They were very right-handed, but they were a very good team. Bichette. And I did not like facing them at all. Not to mention I had PTSD from them kind of ruining my Yankees career in 2020 in Buffalo one night. But other than that, I thought they were on the way. That was the first burst of Vlad, 2021, as well as Ohtani, when he won the MVP. And he became the first player ever to strike out 150 plus batters and hit 40 home runs in a season, which who else is even going to challenge that? Is that ever going to happen? I don't have any freaking idea. But let's fast forward to December 23. Coming off yet another early exit in the playoffs, the Jays went all in to pursue Shohei Ohtani. There's the famous, did he fly to Toronto? Did he not fly to Toronto? They brought him to Dunedin to show him their $100 million facility down that. But I mean, it didn't happen. He ends up signing with the Dodgers, obviously, which was the slam dunk favorite from the beginning. Everybody kind of expected it. But I do think the Blue Jays were the runner-up, and he even said they're a top-notch organization. He really appreciated their offer, and I think he was pretty close to wanting to be a Blue Jay. But, the Dodgers just were offering a little bit probably of a less life change. He could stay where he was. So he ends up staying there. But if you think about it, they might have been teammates now. They probably would have been teammates now. But does Vlad get the contract that he ends up getting before this year? Because if you allocate all that money to Shohei, it would have almost certainly prevented the Jays from signing Vlad to the 14-year, $500 million extension that they gave him in April. So, yeah, because Vlad is going to play first for as long as he can, but he's likely ticketed for DH at some point. Shohei's already a DH. So it might have been a 2-year window of an insane combo, a Shohei-Vlad combo, but probably would have led Vlad to being out of town. I think everybody's happy right now, but yeah, it's a big sliding doors moment for sure. And so yeah, so now they're finally aligned. Toronto was willing to do the same $700 million deal. And I do think, the $700 million deal that Shohei offered, and I've talked about this with some other teams, it's a total cheat code, right? I mean, it really is. Like, you're able to go ahead and invest that money, throw that money in escrow or something, go invest that money, make it all back, plus your marketing dollars and the way that you're able to extract value out of an entire country who's baseball obsessed in Japan, is big time. I think the Dodgers probably do it better than anyone else. But yeah, the Blue Jays would have made a killing off that too, and they probably would have had more room to sign more players. So I'm not totally on board that they wouldn't have went for Vlad as well. Maybe they would have doubled down. Let's not forget, Rogers is a big ass company. They make a lot of money. They have the money. The Blue Jays have always been the sleeping giant to the north. So maybe they wouldn't have. Who knows? It's a good question. All right, let's see what we got in the chat here. Yeah, could you imagine Bo, Vladdy, and Shohei on one team? That would have been very, very good. I mean, but it's like the Mookie, Freddie, and Shohei. So we've seen super teams, but this would have been a different version. It would have been interesting to see. Schneider joked that he wanted the Jays hat back that he gave to Shohei. Yeah, I saw that in the press conference yesterday. That was funny. Schneider seems like he's got a good sense of humor. I'll give him that for sure. And then this is a sad stat about Mikey Trout for the Angels fans. One playoff appearance. He's 34. Now they're signing, I don't know what's going on in Anaheim. I wanted to be on the radar for that job. Didn't get on the radar for that job, obviously, but Perry Manassian is on a one year to year basis. Apparently, Artie Moreno wants to be careful in case he doesn't want to pay a manager through a lockout. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. They signed Suzuki to a 1-year deal. They're kind of tethered together. A lot of the quotes were crazy. The press conference about the AC was insane. So, I don't know. Poor Mike Trout. Yeah, that was my thoughts about some of the Angels clubhouse news. Some of that stuff's insane. What do I think the projected lineup for both sides now that the roster is out? We'll go over that in a minute. For sure. Yeah, I think a 1-year deal actually might have been ideal because then you do good and go somewhere else or something. But it's a whole thing. All right. Let's keep it moving here. Blake Snell pitching tonight. He's had a fascinating career, winning the Cy Young Award. 5 years apart, 18 and 23. He was a league average pitcher in between. I think a lot of that was him learning how to pitch and kind of figuring out who he was as the league adjusted to his style. And now he's fully adjusted back. The last few years, 23 through 25, 345 and a third innings, 2.53 ERA, 63% better than league average on the ERA, and an even 3 ERA, which is insane. And honestly, I said it in the moment. Teams were insane that they wouldn't pay him 2 off seasons ago, and that he had to pick between a bunch of less than market value deals. I guess market value is what the market is, but in my mind, he didn't get his value. Yankees could have had him. Other teams could have had him. They end up not having him, and I think he's the top 5 pitcher in the sport. So Dodgers are happy. Worked out for them. They only had to deal with him on the Giants for 1 year, and it was a non-competitive Giants year, and then they go and take him over. Yeah, dang, this chat is popping. 200 people. Let's go, Spectre. We're loving it. It makes me sad. It makes me want to not. It makes me want to not have the season end because I'm wondering if people will still be here when I'm doing my interview shows and different types of things this off season. But because I want the people around, we need the chat. The chat's the best. But this has been great. All right. We all know about the starting pitching of the Dodgers, but it's gone back a while now. Since August 2nd, they have a 2.53 as a staff. This is the biggest issue, facing any team facing the Dodgers right now. It's not actually the lineup. The lineup's a problem of its own, but it's just these damn starting pitchers. How are you going to get them out, man? Got to get them out. Snell has been the toughest pitcher to hit by opponent average since 2023. This has been my argument with him, in favor of Blake Snell. You can say what you want about other guys, but the ability to be hard to hit is something that doesn't just go away very quickly when you're young and in your prime, and that's where he is. He's gonna be tough to hit. He's got 4 pitches. It's a roll of the dice what you're getting, so it's gonna be pretty awesome. Let me just get through this, and then we'll watch a little bit of Snell after this. I'm sorry, you guys. All right, Snell limits hard contact, plus he generates a ton of whiffs. Only 2 pitchers in baseball besides him rank in the 90th percentile or higher in all of these categories, which are hard hit, whiff, and chase. It's a pretty good group Scooble, best pitcher on the planet. Blake Snell, kind of the best pitcher on the planet in a way. He's right there. And then Josh Hader, who's a closer. So Josh Hader is arguably the best reliever in the game. At least he's in the top 5. And he does it on a 1 inning at a time basis. So these other two guys, Scooble and Snell, are completely breaking the model. They should not be able to do this, and yet they are. Anyway, for me though, this next board is important to note that it's the non-fastballs. As good as his fastball is, and he has a good feel of when to throw it, all of the non-fastballs are impossible to hit. Like, it's crazy. Now this chart, of course, is all over the place because that's what we get on the early things. But if he uses the fastball up, he pairs that with the curveball down. If he uses the fastball down, he pairs that with the changeup away or the slider off that. Sometimes he goes slider to curveball. He has plenty of different ways he can kind of skate through his outings without throwing his fastball that much. But let's not forget the fastball is great. He elevates it and it's gas. Here are the heat maps. As you can see, Blake Snell's fastball heat map likes to throw it up and into the righty and away to the lefty. That sets up perfect tunnels for him on both sides. When he's facing a righty, what the up and in fastball does is it speeds up the hitter a little bit and then makes them not able to cover changeup or curveball. And with the lefty, it sets up a perfect tunnel where if he throws a slider or a curveball off of that same visual, then they're going to swing at it. And you can see he's incredible at getting to the chase areas. These are the breaking pitches, mostly below the zone or competitive at the bottom of the zone. And then the changeup is this third one. This doesn't really do it justice because this is all mostly versus righties, but it's just down and away and you got no shot. Snell started to lean on his changeup with the Dodgers and has taken that to a new height in this postseason. His last start against the Brewers, he threw a crap load of changeups. That's what I expect him to do tonight. It's kind of the antidote to whatever approach you might have against Blake Snell, because the changeup is a pitch for him that he has a feel of how to dial it, faster and slower, and he can throw it for strikes. If he's not throwing his changeup for strikes, that's a potential area of benefit for the Jays. But if he's throwing it for strikes, good luck, because now if you want to go sit on a changeup, you're in big trouble against the other pitches, especially the fastball. He's also started to change speeds with his changeup this postseason, especially with 2 strikes. This is something I was talking about. We pointed it out in the game versus the Brewers. If you watch my watching video on Snell's dominant start versus the Brewers, we show how he can do this. In the regular season, he averaged 85.3 on his first changeup of the at bat, and then 85.1 on 2 strikes. But in the postseason, 86.3 prior to 2 strikes, and then 83.6 with 2 strikes. So he's able to kill more speed off his changeup when he needs to. And here's an actual example, and we watched this the other day. He throws a 79.3 mile an hour changeup to Toro for a strikeout. That's nowhere near his average. His average is more in the mid 80s. So the ability to throw even slower pitch shows a level of feel that I don't think people realize Blake Snell has, but he absolutely has it. So I'm more looking for him to beat himself tonight than for the Jays necessarily to beat him. Now, if they're able to get guys on base and they're able to hit the ball where it's pitched, maybe they can put some pressure. But a big key to this is not chasing and making him throw the ball over the plate and maybe get into a more predictable situation, although he works awfully hard to not be predictable. So it's a tough task, but that's where it comes down. It really comes down to your approach. All right, so this was the start earlier in the year. Now we peeked at it a little bit earlier. With KK on. So I'm just going to show some at bats of guys that I know are going to be in the lineup, and then we'll look at them in a row. So Ernie Clement's the first guy I'm going to look at. We know he's going to be in the lineup. We know he likes to hit the ball where it's pitched. I know he's not on a burner in this moment that we're watching, but it's curious to watch how Snell goes at him. So you see right here, right off the rip, where the target is on that fastball, right? This is where he wants to start the at-bats off if he can. He wants to land a fastball up and in, which makes you have to cheat for the next one and opens you up for every single thing that's away, right? Now all of a sudden you can't cover anything over here, and you're also more likely to chase down in here because you're sped up to get to this spot, this red spot, right? Anyway, that's what he tried to do. He ends up throwing it middle, so I think if he does that tonight, Ernie will swing at that, because Ernie's been swinging at everything. But just for reference point, he starts him with the fastball and then goes right to the changeup. And you see the effectiveness of the changeup. When you're out front on it, the only option you have is to go the other way. So Clement's been doing that a bit in the playoffs. I expect Clement's approach today to be to hit the ball where it's pitched. He's shown an ability to beat you to the spot on inside pitches and also spray the other way on the pitches outside. So I think Snell will probably play, in my opinion, a little bit more of the up-down game, right? If you're going to hit the ball where it's pitched, then I'm going to make it tough on you to hit a line drive. So if I can elevate you with a fastball, the odds are you're not going to hit a home run off me. So I do expect him to elevate the four seam at times versus Clement. That's what he does here for the strikeout. And that gives us a little bit of a hint about how he might try to attack Ernie today. Let's see the second at bat. It's also a strikeout. Let's see how he goes about it. This time it's two guys on base. So now he goes right to the changeup. And Clement, very in character, swinging at that first pitch. But here's the issue, right? Pulls it. Pulls the changeup. Very hard pitch to pull. If you're going to pull the changeup, you want it to come on the inner third. The fact that this is on the outer third, we got to go the other way with this pitch. But he doesn't hear it, and it's 0-1. Snell likes it, goes back to it, and gets another swing and miss. So you see how Snell reads the at-bat. He says, okay, you really weren't on that foul ball. I can double up. And then he goes right to his kill pitch, which is this curveball in the dirt. It's actually amazing that he almost gets the swing on this because this bounces in front of the plate. But Ernie is able to hold up. Curveball coming again. Sees it pretty good. And changeup. So this time, in a big spot, doesn't even go to the fastball. Goes changeup, curveball, changeup. Clement gets beat with a fastball up top. So that's in the back of his mind. This whole at-bat. Threw me two fastballs last at-bat. One of them was up top. So I got to stay on the fastball a little bit. It's in my mind. But then he drops this changeup on him and debats him. So destroys him both of the first two at-bats. And he does get a third at-bat where he gets a hit. So let's see what the adjustments were. Or maybe there was a mistake. Let's see. Fastball away, ball. Curveball. 1-0 curveball. Ball. So this is what I was talking about a little bit. Can you get to a 2-0 count? Can you get to a 1-0 count? Can you try to hunt a pitch if you get count leverage a little bit? Easier said than done, but in this at-bat, it does kind of work out. Takes a pitch, takes another, gets to a 2-0 count. Snell still not giving in, goes to that changeup. And this time he does get it to a location where he can pull it. So, good job by Ernie here. Looks to me like he chokes up a little bit, maybe? I don't know. Is there a little choke up on this bat here? No. No choke up, but really good, soft little swing here, little line drive approach. So these are the type of mistakes that they're looking for, right? This pitch is a changeup pulled a little bit down in. Ultimately, that's the pitch you can pull. Otherwise, you better go the other way. So anyway, Clement 1 for 3 and that first go through versus Snell. Let's watch Vlad's at-bats. All right. First at-bat, 2 outs, nobody on. Goes at him with the heater. Coming with the changeup. Swings over the top. So, going to go right to the changeup anytime that there's a little bit of doubt in his mind whether the guy's going to hunt the fastball or not. Gets behind 1-0. He says, no, you're not getting the fastball. Goes right to the changeup. And now he's going to go to the fastball, interestingly. And this is very similar to what we saw early in the last series where Vlad was hitting a lot of hard ground balls. This one not as hard, but beating a lot of balls in the ground. It does seem to be a little bit of a weakness of him at times where his approach is out over, like I want to slash something to right, which I think is a great approach. Sometimes something can kind of speed him up and beat him down, and all he can do is just kind of get the bat to it and chop it in the ground. So that's what happens here. And he does get him out that first time. Fastball, changeup, fastball. All right, let's watch the second at bat. Another ground out. This time it's the 2 outs. So we had just watched Clement up in this situation who struck out. Now it's Vlad. First and second, but 2 outs. Snell goes right to the changeup here. So definitely showing that the changeup is the pitch he wants to go to when the chips are down. And there's something about it that really, you know, is got deception because this pitch is not even close. And he gets Vlad to swing at that. So that's probably an auto swing here. But I do like that his energy at least was driven to right field. Now he's going to try to stand him up. Yep, fastball in off that. And that's a great pitch. So as soon as you see a guy dive for something down and away like Vlad just did, it's a good idea to stand him back up, you know. Keep him honest. Don't let him dive out there. You want to protect that changeup. That's what Snell does, and he drills his spot right here. This is why they like to throw this pitch here. You can see Vlad is just kind of ready to dive, and this pitch would have handcuffed him. He's not ready there. He's already like kind of headed for the outside corner. All right, 1-2 count, and now back to the changeup. So that's why you would do it. Let's see the location. Yep, gets him to swing below the zone. Does hit it hard, but again, trying to, you know, he almost puts you in a bind where because of your timing to catch up to a fastball, you have no choice but to pull the changeup, and that's not the contact you want. If he smashes this the other way, there's a lot more holes over here. You see this? That's where you want to be. But on the left side, there's not as many holes, and Snell kind of gets the type of contact he wants. All right, third at bat. This time it's an ambush. It's a fastball ambush. But gets it to that inside corner. So that's why they try to locate up and in. It's in case of the ambush. It's got multiple reasons, right? Not only to speed you up, but also in case you swing. It's just hard to hit 97.3 inside on the first pitch. So I think Vlad has a good swing here because he tries to stay inside it and go to right field. Problem is, it's just a great fastball. So this is the issue with Blake Snell. If he threw 93, that was a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, that ball would get smacked. But it's 97, and so it doesn't. So anyway, we saw a lot of pretty much fastball changeup when it came to Snell versus Vlad. I would expect more of that tonight. All right, let's look at Schneider, because I think Schneider might be in the lineup. All right, first at bat versus Schneider was a 3-pitch punch-out to start the game. Schneider's another guy whose approach is basically hit a fly ball to left field every time. This plays perfectly into Snell's plan, but it's a little bit of a lottery ticket for John Schneider, because if he does clip one, like if Snell makes a mistake, definitely a chance of hitting a home run and putting a run on the board. But approach-wise, this is Blake Snell's, you know, preferred approach is try to hit a home run off me. Try to pull a home run off me. Good luck, because he's not going to give you the pitch to do it. And this was a quick work. Fastball, and then perfect curveball below the zone. So I know Schneider might be in there today, but he's going to have to be really smart about what he's looking for. Otherwise, Snell's going to take him apart. Here's a walk. So let's see how this one goes. This was Manning's scoring position. Goes right to the curveball. Really good take. So again, the takes are important. Fastball up, gets him to a 2-0 count. So now it's a little more dangerous. And this is the thing about power hitters that a lot of people don't notice. You say, oh, he's hitting 239, go right at him. No, no, no. When they have count leverage and they're going to get a big-ass swing off, that's when you have to be careful. Snell knows that. He goes right to the changeup. So as long as you're ahead of a guy like this, you feel awfully good. But being behind to a guy like this, it's sketchy. And that's a tremendous take. Doesn't get the call. Showcasing a little bit of this comment right here that Davis has an elite chase rate, so he's really good at not chasing. That's going to be huge tonight because obviously he's looking to do one thing, right? Go bridge. So anyway, he got screwed there. That got him the 2-2. Here comes that curveball again. Going to try to get him to chase below the zone. This time he spits on it. This is a fantastic take. I mean, this pitch gets most guys to swing. Even got him to swing that first at bat. He says, no, 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 no. And 3-2 to the changeup. And another good take. This one was actually not that great a take. It's fine. Kind of a non-competitive changeup. But that's the route. Great plate discipline. And when he is in the zone, make sure it's the right pitch you want to do damage on. You know, don't give Snell too much information so he can take you apart. All right, third at bat versus Snell versus Schneider. So we got a strikeout and a walk. That's the pitch you got to fire at. You see that right there? This is the pitch. So he doesn't hit it, but this is why you have a guy like Davis Schneider in your lineup. Because occasionally you're going to get a mistake like this. Doesn't matter how good the pitcher is, and he's got a shot to pop it out of the ballpark. So this is the type of pitch that he's dreaming of in his sleep last night when he's thinking about World Series Game 1. He's thinking Blake Snell's going to pull a little fastball middle down to me, and I'm going to launch that shit. So he's hoping to get that, but Snell gets away with it there, then goes to the changeup. That's actually a very impressive take, given he wants to swing in the bottom of the zone. So this is actually a pretty good battle. Schneider's ability to not swing at balls is a huge weapon against a pitcher like Snell. Same there. Another good take. It has to come back 2-1, and here's the changeup. And he does get him out front. So that's the reason why the changeup's so dang effective. You have no choice but to try to speed up on that fastball. And after you miss this first pitch fastball that I showed a few times, every hitter in the world can't help but think, man, if I'm a little more on time, that's a homer. But the issue is Snell sees the swing and he's like, I'm not giving it to you again. Ends up coming back around, and this is the pitch he gets put in play, which is a dead fish changeup. So I look for a ton of changeup action and curveball action to Schneider if he's in the lineup tonight from Snell. I don't think he'll be very aggressive with fastballs unless they're way uptight early in the count. All right, so we watch Schneider, we watch Clement, we watch Guerrero. Kirk we know will play, so let's watch Kirky. Fastball up. Kirk's another one. He can use the whole field. I like him theoretically in this matchup. Man, kind of overswings at a changeup middle here. It looks like the ball goes through the bat here. I can't even tell if I think he's under it, but that's weird to miss that pitch. All right, curveball coming. Good take. It all comes down to the chase rate. Honestly, it's the same on both sides tonight. Savage is super reliant on chase as well. They're kind of similar pitchers in a lot of ways. Savage and Snell. Snell's way more evolved at this point. But you know, it's a north-south. There's a lot of chase below the zone, some chase above the zone because they have good fastballs. But it comes down to the hitter's swing decisions, and obviously it's a lot easier said than done. And Kirk, this is actually a hittable pitch, but just shows you the quality of the pitch on top of the fact that you have to decide out of hand, ball, strike. But those are big deals. Those are big deals. And I am also actually a little curious about the Ty France edition, personally. He's a contact hitter, gets a lot of singles. I could see him being a really big factor. I really could. We'll see. All right. Next batter up. No. Next at bat is a walk out of Kirky. So let's see what happens here. It's actually a nobody on walk. Snell goes curveball strike. How does he walk him here? He throws 4 balls in a row after that. There's a fastball. Kind of arm side flyer. Kind of a questionable slider there. 2-1. Here comes the changeup. This one makes sense. Just misses down on it. Good take by Kirky. And then gets the high arm side flyer. So more of like Snell just kind of loses it there, even though it gets 0-1. That can happen. A walk is a rally right now. A walk is momentum versus a guy like Blake Snell, the way he's been pitching. So I can see some guys waiting him out and being a little patient. We'll see. All right, so he doesn't get a third at-bat in that game versus Snell. And let's move on to Ty France, who might be in the game tonight. And then I also want to watch Bichette as well. So we'll watch France. I've watched him a little bit already, but he does go 1 for 3 with a double. I don't know what his career numbers are against Snell. Maybe I'm going to check that in a second, but I could see him getting in the lineup tonight. I really could. There's got to be a reasoning, right? So what Honorata is saying is, I think Ty France implies they're planning to go DH with a substitution at times during the season. So that makes sense a little bit too. Like if they're thinking that they need an extra player because there's a world in which Bichette gets on, they have to immediately walk him. I mean, they have to immediately pinch run for him. Then you're going to need a replacement. I could see that, but also there's a good swing, hitting the ball where it's pitched versus Mr. Snell here. So I don't know. First guy we've seen. Kind of, you know, with the approach that you're going to need. Little line drive the other way. Now, he does strike out this next at-bat. Let's see how that goes. You're going to want to start him that up and in spot. Nothing new here. Misses it, though. Down in. I'm going to do a quick look on this in a second. Did France face these Dodgers pitchers a lot? I want to see at least versus Snell how his matchups have been. I'm sure he hasn't faced Yamamoto a lot, and I know they don't want him in there against Ohtani or Glass now. So he's basically here, I would think, late inning pinch hit or potential Snell matchup.
2-2. More in the tank.
Fastball away. And we'll change up perfect for strike 3. So he's doing his best to not chase here, but sometimes they get right in there. Yeah, we're going to watch him versus Varsho as well. So that was the only 2 at-bats. Here's Varsho. So Varsho's going to be in there. This is a tough assignment. It's a little different left on left facing Snell because the majority of the game is now fastball breaking ball. But, you know, left on left with an extreme downhill angle to the outside corner like that, this pitch right here sets it all up. Fastball down away, just a hard pitch to hit, gets the swing under. This sets up a perfect tunnel for a slider off that could end up over here and get you to chase. And if he gets you any action on a slider, then the curveball can go even lower and you get the chase. But the fastball, he starts with it down. He'll probably work it up as the at-bat progresses. But you see the difficulty left on left. Slider here, perfect tunnel set up. That's why he gets the swing. I actually kind of like the swing. He's under this slider, which means he was getting ready to scoop this thing. But ultimately, when this is your swing and this is where you're at, you know, you're probably not doing a whole lot power-wise when this is where you're at contact. But it just shows you the difficulty of facing Snell. Varsho, though, he surprised me a few times in this series. I mean, in this playoffs. There's a fastball down, good take. And then he finally gets him with the 98. So that's what we talk about a little bit. You know, you want to look for these breaking balls and stuff because that's what Snell does. But he's also got 98 in his back pocket at any time. So it's going to be interesting. I'm trying to see what he's saying here. I want to read his lips here.
Man, this is like hitting flies with rubber bands.
A lot of effing something, but I don't know what. So that was the first at bat. Second time he actually walks him on 4 pitches, which is intriguing. So they tried to go in there first pitch. In again.
Cruising 70 pitches with 2 gone in the 4th. Strikeouts take time. They take
really good job there. Looks like he wanted to hit in this spot, but ends up laying off 3 pitches in a row. And then he's all take on 3-0 and gets the walk. All right, so not a whole lot there. But Snell versus lefties, it's mostly that fastball away, slider off that, curveball off that. He will go left on left changeup if like he makes you, if you make him. But for the most part, he doesn't even care. He's just going to go fastball breaking balls, an occasional changeup if you're good enough. If you're good enough to earn one, basically. You think that's what he said? Take a effing seat? I'm not really sure. Maybe. I mean, I've said that a lot of times under my breath. You just got to go into psycho mode sometimes. Okay, so that's Varsho. Let's watch Bichette. Now, this is a long time ago. But Bo had a great year this year when he played. So let's try to watch it and see what we can see. Fastball up was the move and then another fastball. So fastball. Probably auto-taking till 1 strike. Then the changeup. Yep. So here's the thing with Bo, right? Bo has this huge leg kick. You see this leg kick right here? This leg kick is a very powerful move, and it'll give him a lot of exit velocity, and when he's on time with it, you know, you're going to do damage. But it opens you up big time for timing disruptions. So whether that's in the form of a slide step versus a long hang with a leg kick, or a different tempo thing the pitcher does, or whether that's in the form of a fastball and a changeup, it's very hard to be on time for shit when your leg kick's this big. So he only does this pre-2 strike, but I just want to show you how easily this changeup screws him up because of the leg kick. Like, he's nowhere near that. But to Bo's credit, he always digs that toe in and doesn't leg kick with 2 strikes. You see that? No leg kick here. Leg stays down. I know he ends up striking out here, but it's one of the reasons why I love Bo Bichette. He digs in with 2 strikes, and he's pretty tough to get the ball by. Even this one, it's a curveball, it's a perfect pitch, and punches him out. It's great execution. But he almost held up his swing. You know, and I think that's what you're looking for with Bichette, is the ability to kind of put the ball in play with 2 strikes for the most part. And I think also just his experience, he's got good game planning. He could come up with something. He could come up with a good plan, perhaps, versus Snell. Here's the second at bat. It ends up being a first pitch ambush on a changeup. And he is slightly out front, just enough to be out here. Could have been a double, hits it 98-4, probably gets it off the end of the bat. By a hair here. Yeah, it looks like he just gets it off the end. I don't know. Did he go up there sitting on changeup? Because I think that was pretty good. He hits this ball very well. It's probably the best contact we've seen, and it's out of the leg kick. So, again, Bo Bichette's a smart hitter. There are some things you can do to him with his timing, but he can freaking swing it, man. Side view of this swing. pretty on time for the changeup. Makes me think either he's sitting on it or sitting on off speed of some type. Luckily for Blake, this pitch was literally painted on the corner. Also a little interesting to me is his eyes. Where his eyes look like they're here. They don't look like they're down on the bat. So maybe that's a little bit of misnomer. You see Freddie Freeman, you see Nolan Arenado, you see a lot of guys that are super head down on the barrel. Bo looks like he gets there late. I don't know. Hard to tell. Yet, one of the best contact hitters I've ever seen. So, I don't know. Maybe we just picked up on a fallacy. I don't know. But that's the Bo at bats he got off of Snell. Leg kick's a factor. Expect a lot of changeups. Expect fastballs up and in to disrupt his timing as well. Curveballs in the dirt for Chase. Ultimately, Bo is a weapon. Snell has weapons to get him out. But it makes it a little bit harder if he is able to get some at-bats because he's such a good hitter. So that'll be interesting. Did Lucas get an at-bat versus Snell? No. Barger? No. We already looked at Schneider. Straw's not playing. And Perfido. Okay, so I think that's it in terms of breaking that down. Really quick here. I did have the StatCast info somewhere, I want to say, for that game. No. Where is it? Do I have that game pulled up? I had so many things pulled up on here. Yeah, this was the game. So on the breakdown from that game, going back, looking at Snell, I remember the only lefty in the lineup was Varsho. He only saw 9 of the pitches. Everything else was to a righty, which is why you only see 2 sliders. Sliders to righties. The only time he throws it if he gets action on a fastball in and he feels like, oh, if you're going to swing at that, you'll chase my slider. Other than that, it's going to be 4 seams and changeups and curveballs below the zone. Nothing's really going to change there. For the most part, I think first pitch strikes are incredibly key. I think not chasing, making him throw the ball over the plate for your big swings early in the count are also key. If you're so geared up that you're auto swing and you're chasing 1-0 changeups off the plate and stuff like that, you're doing Blake a big favor. You need to make him throw it over the plate at the end of the day. So it's not rocket science, but this O swing number here is kind of the key. 33% is pretty high. At times, Snell's even higher than that. If they can push that into the 20s or below, Jays are in a great spot. And that will help them stay away from this 43% whiff, which is super scary. If they can get that down, then they're doing their job. And more balls in play, more chances that the hits work out. You want me to charge my pen for a sec? I think you're right. All right, so that's it on Snell. And then we'll go take a look at Yasavage here. We have a whole little rundown in the research packet about Yasavage. They're breaking him down a little bit. Obviously, I've done a ton of that. We'll see what they have to say, you know? See what other people have to say, what other people are pointing out. Once we get to Mr. Trey Savage, because this is a long time coming. I'm just looking at the chat real quick before I pop back into here. All the Jays have to do is walk Vlad Jr. and don't waste your pitches on him. Let the Jays beat us without him. I do think as a Dodger strategy, you cannot allow Vladimir Jr. to completely influence this series in big moments. I agree totally. I think they'll go at him early because that's what teams do, and they have great pitchers, and they'll try to go at him. But any situation you can make somebody else beat you, you probably should. You probably should, and we'll see how arrogant the Dodgers are about that or how smart they are about that. We'll just have to find out. Got to set the trajectory on a couple cinder blocks to prep for you, Savage. Yeah, it's C. It's going to be C. Bieber's definitely opting out. Because starting pitchers at his age with his pedigree, now that he's healthy, they get multi-years, they get big money. Somebody's going to pay Shane Bieber, I would think. So he'll definitely opt out. But I think the Jays could be back in play. I mean, seems like he's been a good fit over there. All right. Anyway, let's keep it moving. We'll talk about Mr. 22-year-old Trey Savage, who we've talked about an awful lot. If you are interested in that sort of thing, I have videos up on him, 2 of them. His Major League debut, which was incredibly impressive and eye-opening, as I had never seen him pitch before that. And then obviously the outing versus the Yankees, where he just destroyed them and kind of showed how hard it is to face this guy when you don't have any familiarity with him. The high angle, all the tunneling, all the things we've talked about. That is what the Blue Jays are hoping for today versus the Dodgers, that they're not ready for this dude visually, and they make some bad swing decisions, and he gets rolling. So we'll see, but here we go. He made his pro debut in April, quickly ascended 4 levels. from the Florida State League to High A, to Double A, to Triple A before making his MLB debut 4 years ago. The Jays didn't intend to push Savage, but he was one of the most dominant pitchers in pro baseball. His minor stats are a friggin' joke. We've talked about this a number of times, but 41.1% K rate as a starter is actually laughable. 158 opponent average and a 534 on his trip through 534 opponent OPS on his trip through the minors. And then in the big leagues, you know, it's not the same, but it's along the same lines. 30.9 K percentage, 3.72 ERA, 213 opponent average, 596 OPS. So there's a lot of good stuff going there in both his tour through the minors and his early tour through the big leagues. We've talked a lot about his release point. It's tied with Verlander for the highest. Is audio cutting out? Can you guys not hear me? I feel like you guys can hear me. So we talked a little bit about the arm angle. That's the number one thing right off the bat that separates him from everybody else. It's the high release, but also it's a short stride. And so the ball heads on this angle, this downward angle on the way to the plate. That's super key because a lot of guys get extension and they have high release, but it's more like a flat approach. Even Verlander, who he's tied with and has a short stride, he doesn't pitch down nearly as much as Savage or use underneath the zone nearly as much as Savage. It's sort of a feature of the way Trey pitches. So again, swing decisions at the bottom of the zone are absolutely enormous to take a look at today when facing the Dodger lineup. Guys in particular like Muncy, who are really good at not chasing, will they be able to maintain that difficulty today? All right. Savage and Snell both love to bury their off-speed and breaking stuff, a stark contrast to their high release points, often elevated fastballs. Between them, they have 3 of the 5 largest differences between release height and pitch height. This is what I was talking about. The combination of release height being high and then the pitches mostly being down in the zone or below the zone. Super effective. Super effective. It creates an angle that most people don't have, and that's the difficulty of it. So Snell, kind of the same magic trick as Savage, although not to the same degree. Savage is even higher and more downhill. So here's the difference. Blake Snell's curveball releases it at 5.34. No, at 6.55, and then its location's at 1.21. So that's the biggest difference is on Blake Snell's curve, but Savage is on this list twice with both his slider and his splitter. One of the few pitchers with a higher arm angle is Padres reliever Kiermaier Estrada, who's at 66.2 degrees, and he shares a similar arsenal in terms of four-seam slider splitter. It's a small sample, but it is worth noting that the Dodgers have owned Estrada since the righty joined rival San Diego in 2024. Estrada, 8.1 innings, 16 hits, 14 runs, and 11 appearances versus LA. Yeah, but timeout. Estrada's pitch presentation is not the same as Savage. So I'm going to throw cold water on this comparison right away. I understand they have a similar arm angle and they have similar pitches, but Savage's power split is way different than Kiermaier Estrada's Vulcan split. Also, Estrada's got extension as well and tries to live at the top of the zone. It's not what Savage does, so I'm going to poo-poo all of that information right away. Highest whiff percentage on a pitch, minimum 100 pitches. Trey Savage is on this list. 58% whiff on the splitter. Nasty. And then this is another factor that I wanted to talk about a little bit. He's better versus lefties than righties. Here are his current platoon splits. 141 opponent average versus lefties, 205 versus righties, 238 on base versus lefties, 289 versus righties. Strikeout percentage even, 40.4 versus lefties, 36.8 versus righties. And this includes the minors. So no way they're going to throw extra lefties in the lineup today to face Savage. I've been waiting for a team to try this. So Dodger lineup today, obviously 3 lefties will be in there. Shohei, Freddie, and Muncy. Edman is the switch hitter. Be curious to see if he's in there or not. I could see this going in a different kind of way. Do they play more righties? I truly believe that righties are the kind of the method to beat Savage. The Mariners righties did really well against him in the previous series, including that J-Rod home run. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Dodgers' strategy is with the lineup today. Not that they have a ton of other lefties that would be tough to take out, but here it is. Switch hitter Tommy Edman, who would normally bat left-handed against Savage, could opt to bat from the right side. Ooh, this is something I hadn't really thought about or considered. Tommy Edman has hit right-handed against a few guys. Kodai Senga, Tommy Canely, Jeremiah Estrada, Kyle Finnegan, and Mark Leiter Jr. because he struggles with this split. So if he went up there left-handed, that would be a disaster. So if Tommy Edman plays, I think he's going to bat right-handed. I love that. I love that. What else we got here? It's harder to hit something moving away from you and everything runs arm side. I just think it's the fact that that slider tends to back towards the righty barrel. So when he goes away, when Savage goes away with his slider to righties, it kind of leaks back over the outside corner. That's important for a few reasons. One, the umpires have not really noticed that much, and they haven't given him a lot of the calls that would have really helped him. But also, it does leak back towards the barrel. So I noticed in the Julio home run. Now we should go back and watch this now. This was the last time that Savage, got hit a little bit. In a way. I mean, he got hit a little bit in the other game in Toronto too, but not to the same extent. It was a little different. But hold on. I need to back that up. Mariners versus Jays. Yeah, it was this game, right? Yeah. All right, so one thing I wanted to point out in this at-bat. Julio takes off-speed pitch for a strike. There's this backup slider. And why is it a backup slider? Because it has positive H-break. Anytime you have positive H-break, it means it's going to the arm side of a righty or into a right-handed hitter. So it's just a weird pitch. Most sliders obviously go to the left. His goes to the right. This one starts on the outer rail and kind of creeps back to the corner, which is a weird trick. But that's important. But what's also important is this high splitter. Now, I mentioned a big key for Trey is landing his off-speed pitches for strikes early in the count, which he does in this at-bat beautifully. Slider and splitter in the count, in the zone where it needs to be. That sets him up for success later. But you cannot miss in the zone the second time, right? So now that Julio saw this lane that the splitter needs to start and end up down the middle, that prepared him to be able to hit the other one later. So it's incredibly important that if he's going to be in the zone with his off-speed pitches, it's in a couple scenarios. It's early in the count when they haven't seen it yet, so they're not likely to be all over it, or it's when he's behind in the count and he hasn't been in the zone yet. But if he doubles up in the zone, that's where you look for damage. And that's what happens here. That was that first split, and here's the one that eventually gets whacked for the home run. So you're trying to squint sometimes at these pitchers and figure out how they get beat. And kind of the way that Trey Savage gets beat is right on right with some off-speed mistakes in the zone, whether it be a slider or whether it be a splitter. Just anytime he's going to miss kind of up middle to a righty and the ball's kind of coming in back towards the hitter, I think that's when he gets in trouble. So big key for him is when he gets count leverage to remain in chase mode, to remain down with everything. And ultimately, I think his success in this game will come with how he locates versus these righties. Because those are the players he should have the advantage on. But it comes down to location, and we've seen some of the righties be able to be on him a little bit more. So let's take that into account. What else we got here? Yeah, so that's what I was saying. Tommy Edman did hit right-handed versus Senga with the ghost fork. Canely, who's all changeup. Estrada, who we know about his what he's kind of bringing to the table. Finnegan is heavy sinker and splits. That makes sense. And Leiter, same thing, sinker split. So I think Edman, if he plays, he's going to go in there. That's pretty cool. Ooh, Cito Gaston and Joe Carter throwing first pitches. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Is a backwards slider just a sinker by a different name? I mean, not really, because of the speed. The speed's not sinker speed, so this is a gyro ball. It's a backup slider. It's a backup slider on command. It's a very interesting pitch. Not a lot of guys do it, but it's good. So other than that, with Savage, like when we're talking Savage, there's not a whole lot more to break down. It's like, is he able to land all of his pitches for strikes? Is he getting ahead in the count? Is he going for the chase? Are the Dodgers hitters laying off? Are they hunting certain pitches early against him? Or are they trying to make him throw the ball over the plate? Do they stack the lineup with more righties? Like, does Edman bat right-handed? These are all the questions, but at the end of the day, the count is the game. If Savage is ahead in the count, I expect him to strike a lot of Dodgers out. They haven't seen it yet. It's going to be hard to pick up on it. If he's behind in the count, I expect the Dodgers to do what they do. Force you in there, take some big-ass swings, and maybe do some damage in this game. So we'll see. It's all about the first few pitches of each at-bat. All right, now position breakdown they have. All right. Freeman versus Vlad. That's a pretty good matchup. I'd say that's pretty close. Vlad probably has the edge. Edman versus IKF. Edman's probably the better player overall, but IKF has been a little scrappy. Shortstop, Mookie and Jimenez. Obviously, Mookie's the advantage here. Jimenez has been incredible, though, and he's incredible at defense. So they're both very, very effective. Muncy versus Clement. This is an interesting matchup because they're different players. One's super aggressive, one's super patient in Muncy, but they're both effective, just in different ways. Kike and Nathan Lucas. Lucas has seen mostly action left field for the Blue Jays so far. David Schneider is likely to start game 1, but Lucas is a hot hand at the moment. 6-game hitting streak, 9 for 26, 1 double. Schneider's only got 10 at-bats in the postseason. I think Schneider will be in there today against Snell, but Lucas will probably appear later in this game. Kike, though, like we've talked about, 150 point bonus in his OPS from regular season to postseason. One of the greatest all time, behind Pablo Sandoval, Carlos Beltran, Randy Arozarena, and ahead of my guy, David Freese, the Iceman. So I got to give the advantage to Kike here just because until he stops doing it, I'm going to expect him to do it. Pages versus Varsho. That could go either way, depending on how they're playing. They're both interesting players. Pages is so Deadpool that if they pitch him well, he's definitely pitchable, as is Varsho, but Varsho's an incredible outfielder. But Pages also 12 fielding run value, 4th best among center fielders. So these guys are outstanding defenders. Right field, Teoscar versus Springer. So this packet's already assuming that Bichette's probably playing and Springer's playing right. Look, Springer's an all-time great. Hit 5 home runs in the 27 World Series. One of the best playoff performers we've ever seen. So I'm going to give the edge to him. But Teoscar's also had a phenomenal postseason. He's got 4 home runs this postseason. I believe, right? Teoscar, 4 home runs as well. He had 25 home runs in the season. I don't know. That's pretty even. I think the offenses are a lot closer than people realize. They're pretty close. Pretty close. It's more the difference is the star power of the Dodgers starting staff. Catcher, Will Smith and Kirk. Another good matchup. Both good guys. Shohei and Bichette. Obviously, nobody can match up to Shohei, but getting Bichette back, and if he does play DH, that adds a little more potency, as we've talked about a little bit. We all know about the starting pitchers. Big advantage for the Jays. For the Dodgers. Not that the Jays don't have good pitchers. They have plenty of good pitchers. I would sign up any day for a Gausman, Savage, Bieber, Scherzer rotation. But Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Shohei is obviously a little bit stronger. Relief pitching. Both teams have struggled so far out of the pen. This is the roadmap, right? Get into the Dodger bullpen if you're the Jays and find a way to beat them. You got to find a way, right? That's the key. All right. Dodgers have a 4.88. Blue Jays have a 5.52. So, the numbers aren't good, but I don't really care about the numbers so much because ERA numbers with this low amount of games can really, it's like one bad appearance here, one bad appearance there. But I do think every pitcher on the Blue Jay roster is going to have to contribute, kind of the way they did in the past series, even using Bassett there in the 8th inning. I think Little's going to have to contribute. I think everybody's going to have to contribute if they're going to be able to take down the Dodgers, whereas the Dodgers are kind of thinking, let's just get, this game as far away from our relievers as possible. We're going to ride our starters hard, so we'll see. Here's some more talk about Bichette's potential return. He did hit .311 this season, tied with Jacob Wilson, a little bit behind. Looks like he might be a little bit behind Bobby Witt in hits, and Judge in average as well. He led the Jays with 94 RBIs, and that's without playing for quite a while at the end of the year, so that's impressive. He was also the best hitter with runners in scoring position in the major leagues. Now, that's a big factor, and that's kind of why I like him as a pinch hitter, man, because you can fire him in there at the right moment where all you need is a single. He hit .330 with runners in scoring position and 697 career at-bats. That's a big freaking deal, man. And this year he was number 1, hit .381, just ahead of Nico Horner, Jacob Wilson, Jeremy Pena, and Bryce Terang. And this is the emotional part of it. It also seems right that Bo would get the chance to lead the Jays to the promised land as he plays out what could be his final week in a Jays uniform. He's set to hit free agency. Sportsnet suggested in August he could get 8 years, $216, something like that. But if Bo is healthy enough to return, will he be able to play in the field? So they've been working him out at second. I don't feel great about it, personally. We will see, though. They know a lot more than me. They know a lot more than me because they're in the room with these guys and know how they feel. But I'm scared to put him in the field, personally. And yeah, the emotional part of it. Yeah, Vladdy and Bo have been together since the early days. That's the stuff I've been thinking about for a while. Like, this is a moment where if you're Bo, you got to be out there. You got to be playing. But if you're the manager, you got to know how good that guy feels or doesn't feel. These are important. These are important factors. Oh yeah, that's true. That makes sense. All right, 7 seasons with the Jays. He was a second-round pick in 2016. I mean, he's got pretty good numbers, man. 294 career average, 904 hits. 2-time All-Star, and he's led the AL hits twice. All right, here's the ability about Bichette's ability to step right in and face pitchers after a month off. And I talked about this a little bit. He's the type of guy who can definitely roll out of the bed and make contact. So here's some quotes from John Schneider. Bo's a different cat, man. You don't feel bad about him missing 3 weeks and coming in and hitting. He's that talented with the bat in his hands. At the very least, if that's what we get, that's great. You're talking about a guy who led our team in RBIs. He missed the last 20 games of the season, so if we can get him back in any capacity, we're definitely going to welcome him. There aren't many players that have been in Bo's situation this century. Since 2000, the only position players to play in a World Series after a 30-plus day layoff are Kyle Schwarber from the torn ACL. He came back. We know about that. Alan Craig, one of my best buddies from the minor leagues, sprained left foot, but he kind of raked in the playoffs when he came back. I think that was 2013 World Series versus the Red Sox. Garrett Stubbs, who was a roster replacement for Jason Castro and did not play, Rob, probably. And then Juan Uribe, chest injury. Those are the only examples. But there is some hope for Bo in these examples. Schwarber had a pair of RBIs in Game 2 of the 2016 World Series and had a 3-hit performance in Game 7. And then my guy Alan Craig, had hits in 5 of 6 games in the 2013 World Series. And then everybody does remember the crazy moment, though, where he kind of fell down on third. There was the obstruction call with him and Will Middlebrooks. Whatever, that was a whole crazy play. That kind of made me sad watching it, but I love me some Alan Craig. He was a damn good hitter. Position players to return in the World Series after 30-day-plus layoff. So Schwarber had a 971 OPS. Krager had an 849. Garrett Stubbs didn't play, and Juan Uribe didn't really play either. He had 1 at-bat. So, not really much to look at there, but if anybody can do it, it's probably Bo. And then there's the question about Springer playing the outfield. So what this takes away from you a little bit on the Blue Jays side is Nathan Lucas, who has a 96th percentile arm, and Addison Barger has a 99th percentile arm. So you're not able to access either of those on defense. But it's not like Georgia's defensive metrics are that scary. I know that he was -5 this year in right field, but being neutral in left is encouraging, and only -1 in center. And years ago, he was very good. So I think, again, he's going to be on some pain medication tonight. He's going to be feeling juicy. Adrenaline's going to be ripping. I'm not that afraid of Springer in the outfield. I feel a little better about that than Bo at second, personally. And this is the other issue. It's not like Bo's good on defense. Like, we all love Bo Bichette at the plate. But defensively, he's been kind of suspect lately. -13 outs above average at short this year. So even if you play him at second, you're really downgrading your defense. IKF and Jimenez combo up the middle has been outstanding. So there's a lot to think about, man. I think pinch hitting early, and if he looks good and feels good, maybe you find a DH spot for him second time against Snell, maybe. I don't know. These are tough decisions. They really are. Here's the notable defenders in terms of outs above average and innings played this year. Andres Jimenez was +10 on defense. He's unbelievable. Former Platinum Glove Award winner. Bichette's -13, so that's the scary thing. Kiner Falefa is a 0, but generally considered an above-average defender. And Clement, +6. So, I feel pretty good about that. Want to keep that defense clean. Can't afford to give any extra outs to the Dodgers offense. All right, a lot has changed. First World Series game since October 23rd, 1993. Jurassic Park topped the box office in its 19th week in theaters. Other notable films from 1993. This is my whole childhood here. Cool Runnings, Rudy, and A Bronx Tale. I mean, shit. These are some of my favorite things ever from childhood. Also, Home Improvement, Roseanne, Seinfeld, The Simpsons was only in their 5th season. They're in their 37th season. So this is just some fun ways to let you know a lot of time has passed. The music was Dream Lover by Mariah Carey, Meatloaf, I'll Do Anything for Love, and Ace of Base, All That She Wants, which is a banger. All coming from 90, 92, 93. Grunge fashion, yep. This was. I wasn't involved in any of this. I was too young to be into grunge fashion. Hey Sanka, you dead, man? Michael Jordan had just retired from basketball earlier that month, leading the Bulls to a 3rd straight title, and then he decided to go play baseball. That's how it's been. You know, I was just thinking about this, my love. We need to order lunch. We need to figure out lunch. So I'm going to sign off here in a moment. I'm just finishing this up. Notable price changes from October 93. Price of gas, $1.09 per gallon. Currently $2.96. Not where I live. It's like $4 something. I don't know. Price of a first class stamp, 29 cents. Now it's 78 cents. Dozen eggs, 89 cents. Now it's $3.59. McDonald's, $2.99. Big Mac meal. Now it's $11.39. That's scary. My God, is that scary. But on the plus side, look at the market. 46,000 we're at currently in the Dow Jones. Was at 3,000 before. Anyway, that's all random nonsense that means nothing, right? Means literally nothing. All right. We talked a little bit about his changeup already. It's so good. We know about that. Just checking tabs here. Snell, you savage. I tried to look at his splits earlier, but obviously we already saw his. Well, things got depressing fast. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be depressing. I'm sorry, you guys. But yeah, it's a whole world. Anyway, back to baseball. I did look at Yasavage's splits a little bit, and I did say righties are the way. So Edmund batting right-handed, that might be a big deal. What else we got? We already looked at KK. We're done with him. Yeah, I think that's it. So let me get into the chat for a second. I think we're ready for this game. Snell, Yasavage. We see kind of the roadmap to beating both of them, although it's going to be hard. They control the action. They're going to throw the balls. They have the ability to get ahead in the count and dictate the action. It's kind of going to be up to swing decisions, of course. And I also think defense plays a role here. You don't want to give any anybody any extra outs. Extra outs are precious here. And I'm excited to see the energy tonight in the ballpark, in Rogers Center, in downtown Toronto. I will be flying up there in a couple hours. I'm super juiced to go to the game tonight. Game 1 World Series. Man, never been in one of those that I can think of. Been a couple World Series games over the years, but not a game 1. So this is going to be great. Very excited for it. Just to watch some great baseball. Let's see the showdown. And I have no idea who's going to play in this game. People are asking me on the thoughts. I mean, look, I think they're going to stack it righty. I really do. So I think Schneider will be in there. I still think Bo. God, I could see the DH lineups to be out in a few hours. I'm very curious which direction they go to. I've been on the record. I'd said I would keep things the same, and I would pinch hit Bo tonight, but they might go a different way. So we'll see. I think the playoff experience is always a factor, of course, but also doesn't mean a whole lot in individual games. I think it comes into play when you face adversity and stuff like that, but anything can happen. I'm not going to give them an advantage just because of that, so we'll see. Yeah, I know Bo can't play in the field. He's either a DH or pinch hitter, but for me. But I don't know. I think I'd hold him back for pinch hitting, so we'll see. Alrighty, that is going to be it from today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on the Game 1 preview, World Series Game 1 preview. Big thanks to Kevin Kiermaier, who hung with us today, gave us a little insight, played for both these teams last year, so that's very cool. A lot of anticipation. I cannot wait for 8 o'clock tonight. We're having a big treat in this World Series, so thanks for hanging with me. We will be back tomorrow, Baseball and Coffee, to go over this one. I believe I'll be back either tomorrow morning or tomorrow night. Not sure yet. I'll post an upcoming, and then we'll go from there. Definitely Baseball After Dark tomorrow night during the game while I'll be back home. Unsure about Baseball and Coffee. I want to do a Game 2 preview, so I have to figure that out, but obviously we have kids. No Baseball After Dark tonight because I'm in Toronto, but Baseball After Dark tomorrow, more than likely. Either way, you guys will check it out. And yes, MLB, thanks for making that happen. And that was great. KK was awesome. All right. See you guys later. One more question here. That's great. I don't know if you've noticed, but Jeff Hoffman does use my walkout music. And he says that, you know, it's more of a sign of respect than anything. So we'll go with that and we'll take it. But it was mine first. Alive by Kid Cudi. Don't forget it. I originated it. And I just want to give myself credit for that. Anyway, all right, you guys are the best. And I will see you guys later. Good luck watching the game tonight, whoever you're rooting for. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, adios. Peace out. Bye-bye. Also, my go away picture today, my leaving picture is a picture of Rogers Center before the renovation. So you can see it doesn't look probably as nice as it's going to be today. All right. See you guys later. All right, adios. Bye-bye.